Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome to another Skyrim Creation Kit tutorial video. Today I'm going to be continuing on with my scripting tutorial series. So this is the third video in the series, and so far I've gone through simple message showing in the terms of a message box or using a notification, and then we moved on to using that in conjunction with menus. So using a button that we press and go through a menu system and selecting which message we wanted to see. Now I'm going to be expanding this a little further through the menu system, and we're going to be having it so that we can select what item we want, and we're going to be adding an item to a player and enabling or disabling an item at the same time. So I'm going to be covering two topics here. The first topic I'm going to cover is the enabling and disabling of items, and the second topic is then moving it a step further, where we are going to be adding and removing items from the player and checking to see if the player has something. In this case it will be gold, removing the gold and giving them something in return. So it'd be very similar to sort of a merchant system, but the way that I would usually work and use this system is by having maybe a ledger, as you've seen in my mods like Corinthia Tower. Go check them out if you haven't seen it. And I will go on this ledger and say I want to hire a member of staff. Click that member of staff. The game will check if I've got the gold. If I have got the gold, take it off me and make that member of staff sort of show up. So I'm not going to go into ridiculous detail of how I've done things in my mods, but I am going to go with the basics. So we should already now know, if you've watched my other two videos, if you haven't, go and check them out. We should know how to create our own script, edit the source of it, and do a number of things with menu systems. So I'm just going to go in and edit the source of the very first script we did, just as a sort of memory check refresh. And as you can see, we had it so that each time we clicked on it we showed different messages, or you can show a notification. And if we just go add, and we're going to search for that second script that I did, and edit source, as you can see we expand it a little so that when you activate it we get a little menu sort of show up, and then we select what option we want. Now we're just going to expand on this. So first thing I'm going to do is Control and C to copy that, and we're going to make a new script, and we're going to add it to this third sort of terminal we've got here, and we're going to call this df127 script 03. Give that a moment. I apologise for any weird audio. I'm still getting to terms with this new headset and getting it set up the way that I like it. Hopefully it sounds okay. A bit of feedback would be nice on that. We're just going to remove that line because we don't need that. So there we go. We're going to have our usual menu script here, and what we are going to do is have these different options to maybe hire someone. But first what we'll do the enabling and disabling. So we're going to place some boxes down and we're going to be enabling them and stuff like that. So what we want to do is get rid of these sort of message box things. Not going to be showing messages this time. Although what you could do is show a notification to say so and so has happened, so and so has been hired. But I'm not going to teach you that because you'll already be able to implement that. So we're going to make some properties first of all. Like, we don't need these message properties now. The only one that we do need is our menu message box, which we'll actually have to go and edit. So we need to keep that one, but those three that we've just removed, get rid of those. Now we're going to have an object reference property, and we're going to be pointing at specific references in the render window. In this case it's just going to be some boxes. So I'm going to put box01 auto. You could put the exact name of the item which you're going to be enabling and disabling, and then when you go to autofill your properties it'll fill it for you, but we haven't put the boxes down yet, so I'm just going to keep this nice and basic, and object reference property box02 maybe, yep. And I'm just going to try and cut down on too much typing and time wasting. So we're going to have three boxes. We've got three options. The first option now, so we've technically got four, but we've got three options that actually do something. Our first option, if you remember, we'll just cancel. So this is going to go as simple as this, box01 dot enable. So that's what we could do. We could enable the box, and we could do the same for these ones, or you could disable the box. So you could have option 1 to enable box 1, and then option 2 could be to disable it, and option 3 could just do anything else. So it's entirely up to you. So we box o1.enable, and we're going to do that for each of the boxes. Now we could leave it at that, so we'll click the options and it'll enable the box, and that'll be that. But then we go back to that option. We'd like to be able to disable the box, so we want it to be able to see if the box is enabled or not. So this is where we could use if statements. We'll go into a little more detail, and I'm going to go if is enabled and disabled. I'm a little rusty on this stuff because it's been some time since I did a tutorial, so we're going to go to the Creation Kit Wiki and get the bit that I need. It is under scripting references, and if we do a search, we want to see if the box is enabled or disabled, and as you can see here, you basically get the game to check first. So I'm just going to copy that and then adjust it to what I need. So what we're going to do, we're going to have an if statement within our else if. So just focus on this part first. Now you want if space, and it's not going to be shield property. This is where we're going to state our box 01. So all we're doing here is if box 01 dot is disabled. If it's disabled, then we're going to enable it. And I usually keep tabbing across so that it keeps things nice and organised, and you can see where if statements line up and end. And as we've been talking about if statements, we're going to want an else if. So we could put else if box 01.is and put enabled and then the brackets. But it seems we've only got two options. There's only one alternative. We'll just put else. So if it isn't disabled, meaning it's enabled, we're going to box 01 dot disable and then the two brackets. That's really quite simple. So that's all there is to it. So what we're going to be able to do is click on those buttons and just turn the box on and off. It's as simple as that. And we're just going to do the same for these boxes here. Control C, Control V, Control V, and just change these to box 3. So check if the box is there or not and do the appropriate action to either show it or hide it, basically. Oh, putting 3 in again. A little rusty. So 3, 2 and 1, there we go. And it's as simple as that. And always remember, like, we have to have an end if whenever we start an if statement, and we've got our else there. And if we put else if, we would have to state what that alternative is. So we'd be putting else if the box is enabled, but like I said, else will do fine because we're not going through a whole string of possibilities. And it's as easy as that. So that will now enable and disable our boxes, but we need our boxes and we need to change our menu. So we're just going to save that and compile it. Hope excuse me, hope it compiles. There we go. Compile fine. Make sure that one's disabled because I'm just using the same base sort of item for this and then just changing the script. So I've made sure that the script that is originally attached to the item is disabled, otherwise we're going to have two scripts running. It's going to confuse everything. And at this point we go properties and we'd fill them in, but we don't have all our properties yet. So I'm just going to confirm that. First thing we want to go and do is find our menu. It's a whole mess this is, as I've been making a new mod, and we are going to search for df127 and we want our menu there. Which message do you want to view? It's not going to be a message now. We're going to change that and we are going to put just choose a box. That'll do. Oops a daisy. Choose a box, and we're going to change this to box 1, box 2 and box 3. So our message box is up to date. Now if you didn't have a message box and you just create that menu, you'd have to obviously go and make one and then link it to the property. And now we just need our boxes. So if we go into world objects, static, oh god, crate, not create, there we go. And we'll just get some small crates, and what we'll do, we'll put them behind the player here. I need to turn the light in. And we're going to put 3 boxes here. Excuse me. So we've got our 3 boxes. Excuse me, my god. Right, 3 boxes, DF127, box 01. I'm going to give them a nice ID. And what you could do, like I said, if you could, well, you could go in that script and you could, instead of calling them box 1 and box 2 and box 3, you could call them DF127, box 01, 02, 03. And then that means that it would be searching for the unique IDs and the properties would autofill and it'd be nice and quick. I'm not going to go ahead and mess with that though. So now we've got our boxes and now we have our message. I am going to autofill because it will fill the one messaging because that is named exactly how it is. And then I'm going to select my boxes, which I can't see in the render window, so hold on. Oh, this is going well. We've lost our box. Budge that up a minute. And we are going to pick reference, double click on our boxes, that one, edit value, select box 2, and box 3. 1 even. Okay, there we go. Click OK and all that. Put my window back because I can't stand things that aren't straight. And we're going to save that. And now we're going to go in game and we're going to see that working, and then we come back out of game, we'll go right back in the kit and we're going to change this around a little. Rather than enable and disable boxes, we'll do the next part of this tutorial and we're going to get the game to start checking that the player has gold, and then it'll take the gold off it, and rather than enable or disable a box, it could do something else. We'll find out when we come back and see what we want to do with it. Okay, so here we are in game, and there are a couple of things that I messed up on. The first thing is I forgot to change 2 numbers, which I'll show you in the script, meaning that they're not entirely working correctly. It's checking to see if box 1 is disabled, and then doing the enabling and disabling of the other 2 boxes. I'd actually forgot to change the 1 to 2 and 3 on the second and third box, but it still works to some extent. It will work on box 1. The other thing, they aren't initially disabled. I would have wanted all the boxes hidden and then enable them, but it doesn't really matter. It would matter, of course, if you wanted something to not be there initially, and then you would be enabling it when you get there, then you would want it initially disabling. So if we just go to here, as you can see, we've got our cancel button, which does nothing. Box 1, 2 and 3, I'll have to sort 2 and 3 out, and we'll see that work correctly in the next sort of setup that we make. But box 1, if we click that, it'll hide it, and then if we hit it again, it'll show it. There we go. And the same will work on 2 and 3 once we sort that out. So I already know what I did wrong. In fact, I've already corrected it, I think. So there we go. That's what will happen. 1 and 2. Oh, no, I haven't corrected it. I have to go in and check that. Yeah, but those will be enabled and disabled. So we'll just go back in game, fix those 2 little errors that we've made, initially disable the boxes, and set up a purchase system. Okay then, so first thing is first, a couple of errors. I'm going to just check the script through. As you can see here, it says if box 01 is disabled, and I'll change the enable and disable for these 2, but I hadn't actually changed the is disabled. I've done that now, so it's 03 and 02, so make sure that they're all correct. So it's all 1's there, 2's there and 3's there. That's just a small mistake that we made. Not going all that smooth for our first tutorial after like 2 months, but we'll get there in the end. So we fixed that, so we're going to control and there, save that, get that compiled. Took a while. We're just going to come out of there a second, and we are going to make our boxes initially disabled. Actually, one other thing I'm going to show you, and something that somebody made me aware of a while back, which I wasn't aware of. Sometimes you'll have a load of sort of items linked to an X marker. In fact, we'll go and do that next step. What we're going to do, we're going to have X markers. Now, if you have looked through the system that is used in the game for house purchasing of items, say like you have to buy the alchemy bench for the breeze home, and there's a number of other things that come with it, so it's like an alchemy room, and that room is empty, and after you purchase it, those items appear. Well, it's all done via an X marker. Let's try and get that a little lower down in the world. It's all done via an X marker, or a set of X markers. And if you actually go into the breeze home interior, you'll see that there's like a whole row of X markers all labelled different. and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we're going to link a load of items to an X marker, and rather than disabling that box, we're going to enable the X marker, which is going to be linked to the box and a number of other items. So what we'll do is we'll make a collection of boxes. That's probably the easiest way of doing this. A couple of different boxes of different sizes, and we'll spread them apart a little. So these are going to be our sort of box collections. And what a lot of people do and have been doing, and what I'd been doing for quite some time, is I'd been going onto this box, and you have to use the enable parent feature. Now the enable parent feature, you select the reference and you're basically saying that its parent is the X marker. So any state that the X marker is in, enabled or disabled, it will copy it, unless you tick this box here, set enable state to opposite parent. So that would mean that it's the opposite to whatever the X marker state is. So if the X marker is enabled, itself will be disabled, and vice versa. But we're going to keep it the same as the X marker, so that when we enable the X marker, it in turn enables all of the items that are linked to that X marker as a parent. So that's all you do, is you select the reference, you say copy whatever that X marker is, so we have to only enable the one item to enable all the rest, rather than having to go in the script and say enable that. That would just take you forever. And what I was doing is I was doing this for every individual item. So I was going, we have to link that box to that, then going off, we have to link that box to that, and then going off. And sometimes I'd have about 100 items in a room, and that would be taking me a very long time. So there is a quick way of doing this. If you click on your first item, hold down Control, and then click on all the other items. So we're not going to select these. This is going to be a small bunch of items here. Then lose everything, keep those selected, and hit sort of your little dash key, can't even think what it's called right now, on the keyboard, your small dash or your underscore key. And you hit that and you get this little reference batch action menu. And what this does, it has listed all the items that you have selected in the window, and what you can do is you can do an action to all of them in one single go. So we're going to select reference, which I can't see, which is entirely helpful. For some reason I can't see it. Where's it gone? Hidden behind that wall. There we go. So we're going to double click on the X marker. Now we're linking all these to that, and we have to say what we want to do. So we want to, where is it, set enable parent, and we've selected that X marker. And as you can see, if we wanted to do them as opposites, like I said, that one little tick box, you click opposite there, but we're not going to do that. We're going to have all these set enable parent to the X marker. They're going to copy whatever state the X marker's in. Click do, and you should see those lines link up. Now once you're done, you can click that off, and all those are linked to there. So we're going to do the same for these. We've only got 2 items here. Select the reference, set to enable, do, and we've got our lines. And then we're going to do this again with these. So there we go, nice and quick, really good way of taking all the items in a room or in one section, or the things that you want to enable and disable, and linking them to an X marker. Now that's how you do that. Obviously I've just done something entirely stupid and wrong. We're going to want 3 X markers for each set of our boxes, and I've gone and linked all those to the same marker. So I'm just going to change that reference, going to link those to that one. And what we're probably going to want to do is name our X markers to something unique for each of them, so we can tell what they are. So I'm going to call this marker 01, and we're going to show the autofill property in the script menu as well. So you see what I mean in a moment. And this is going to be marker 3, so we give them all a name. All these are now linked to there. If you were to double click on one, as you can see, it's done it automatically now. It's done it. Enable parent, X marker, which is marker 01. Each of these are initially disabled. So next up is changing our script. Now what we're going to do this time, that might be the wrong one. Yep. I want to go to scripts under here, not the base item, and want to edit the source, change our script around a little, And rather than be pointing at the individual box, we've got a collection, so we're going to be wanting to point at the marker now. So as soon as we've given them unique names, we're going to call these each the marker name. There we go, so marker 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to change this accordingly. So that's going to be marker 1. So everywhere where it's box 1, it's now going to be marker 1. So I'm going to change all these. Okay, so there we go. Save that, compile it, add a few errors, making a few spelling mistakes. There we go, marker 1, 2 and 3. So now we're going to be enabling and disabling those markers depending on if they're enabled or not. And that would sort that problem. But we wanted to take this that one step further. And we want it to now be checking if we have some gold. So this is going to get really nice and confusing. What we're going to do now is when you click on a button, the first thing it's going to do is check to see if you have a certain amount of gold. Now, because I'm rather rusty, I've had this sort of pre-prepared this time for myself. We want to get the game to check the item count. Now in this case it's going to be gold. You could actually have it as anything you wanted, so you could check how much leather you've got or anything like that. But we're going to do the nice simple thing of seeing, making the game see if you have enough gold. So as you can see here, it's game.getPlayer, so goes to the player and it says get item count, state what the item is. So has the player got this and how many, or has he got more than or less than this? So we'll see that in a moment. So we're going to make an if statement under our first button. We're going to paste that in. So if game.getPlayer, get item count, and rather than this being their sort of weapon sword keyword, we're going to put gold. Now gold in the creation kit is under gold 001, so that's exactly what I'm going to call it, so that we get this autofill property going again. And it's a miscellaneous item, I think, misc object. Gold property that'll be. Let's just save that and see what it says. See if I've got that right. Oh, it's moaning on functions now. What we'll do, we'll just remove that for a moment. Yeah, just want to make sure it was misc object, which it is, so I remembered correctly. There we go. So we're going to change that for gold 001. So we've stated gold as a property, otherwise it won't know what we're on about. So anything that you put in here, whether it's leather or what, you have to state that as a property. Now what we're going to say that the player needs to have at least 100 gold. So we want this to cost 100 gold. So we're going to say if the player get item count. Now we've got two equal signs here, which means exactly. So at the moment I've put the number 1. It would check to see if they have exactly 1 gold. And if they don't have exactly 1 gold, so if they had 2 gold or no gold or anything over 1, then it's not going to work. So we want to say if the player has at least 100 gold. So the way we're going to do that is more than or equal to 100 gold. And we do that by doing this small more than sign and then equal to. So that's more than or equal to. And if we wanted it to be less than for whatever reason, it will be less than or equal to. I think that's the right way around. And we are going to put 100 gold. So the player has to have at least 100 gold. Now that isn't going to take the gold off them. It's just checking to see if they've got it, which means nothing at the moment. So the next line that we want to do... Oh, I've missed my if statement. Next line we want to do, if the player has that gold, then that's fine. It can go ahead and check the state of the box and change it accordingly. So shift those along. So we want that if statement within that if statement. So it's getting a little confusing, but hopefully you're following this. So if the player has the gold, then do the whole marker enabling, disabling thing. And then we're going to want an else statement. So else, this is if the player doesn't have that much gold, we're going to bring up one of our nice sort of little notifications that we've done before. Debug.notification, you don't have the gold. And then, as we have to do with every if statement we create, we have to put end if. So we're just going to save that, check that's correct. Yep, more than or equal to. So it's going one more time, just to really get this nailed. if the player has 100 gold or more, then it's going to do this. It's going to go ahead and do the whole enable or disable whether the box is enabled or not. And if you don't have the gold, it'll just moan at you, and that'll be that. And we're going to want to do exactly the same for each of these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And there we go. So I've done that. So there we go. As you can see, I've just done the same as button 1, but for the rest of them with the boxes. And it should be enabling or disabling the marker if you've got the gold, and if you haven't got the gold, it'll moan at you. So that is that. You don't have the gold. Now you could put something more appropriate, like you need 100 gold or this and that, but that's where your own mod and your own situation comes into it, and you change things accordingly. So that is that. We're going to quit that script, and what we need to do now is again set our properties, and because we've marked everything exactly how it is, it's auto-filled all 4 properties. So it's gone to marker 1, 2 and 3. Our boxes are linked to each of the markers, and we've even stated the item that the player is going to need, which is gold. So it understands that gold is the thing that it's looking for. Oh, have I just cancelled that? Yeah. So click OK. Confirm that. Now we're going to go in game, and we should be able to click on that item. We fixed all our problems, hopefully. Everything should work fine, and we'll be able to pay 100 gold every time that we activate one of those 3 options. It'll it hasn't taken the gold off us. There we go. We're getting something already. So at the moment it's just checking to see if we've got the gold and doing something accordingly. So the next step we want is it to take that gold off us. That's the one line that I'd forgotten. So it wants it to check the gold, take the gold away, and then perform the action. Otherwise, moan that you haven't got the gold. So the only line that we've got left to do is not add item. We want to remove an item. So it's going to be that one there. This is nice and simple as well. So really is quite easy, this one. I'm going to just copy it anyway just to save time. So there we go. Game.getPlayer, remove item, and it's got gold base there, so we'll change that to our gold, and we're going to remove that 100 gold. So that value needs to be the same as that one, and we're going to add that to each of them, and then we are done. So there's no worry if you don't have the gold, it won't be sort of removing the gold. It's only going to do it if that if statement is correct. There we go, we get there in the end. Save that, should compile successfully. Yep, perfect. Just double check our properties are correct. There we go. Okay. Save our plugin, and eventually we got there. We've seen how we can just simply enable and disable items with the menu system, and now we've seen, or we will see in a moment, how we can enable and disable things at the cost of an item or a number of items. So let's go in game and see that working. Okay, so here we are in game, and we have eventually managed it. I don't have any gold at the moment, or at least not enough gold, so 40 gold, which isn't an awful lot. So if we click on here, we shouldn't be able to activate any of these buttons. As you can see, it says you don't have enough gold, and it will say the same again. Just keep bugging it though, because it's trying to clear off the same notification. So if we add some gold, we've got 200 gold. I didn't initially disable the other 2 markers, so they were initially enabled, so I got them all disabled, and now we'll be able to enable and disable them. So box set 1, as you can see, is there, and box set 1 again, we can disable it at the cost of the 200 gold, which is gone. It might be nice to have a notification to let you know that it's sort of enabled. It automatically does the removal of gold usually, although there is an option in that line where you can add true or false depending on whether you want to have the game tell you about it. That's something I forgot to mention, but you can check that up on the wiki. So now we're out of gold again, we'll add a bit more gold, and we'll just enable 2 and 3 to prove that those work. There we go. So it says like gold 100 removed. Sometimes if you're sort of activating things too quickly, it's obviously not showing up. There we go, it does work. Nice and simple. Well, not that simple, but if you follow the instructions, and you might want to rerun through the tutorial or certain bits numerous times to get the hold of it, it'll be fine, and you'll learn it quite easily, and then you'll be doing it no problem. So that is it. That is the end of the tutorial. Hopefully you found it useful, even though I did make a couple of slip-ups and had to recover from a few things. It's my first tutorial in 2 months. So yeah, please go and check out the usual, my main website and my antisocial websites. Go and check out my mods, Corinthia Tower, if you haven't already, because that has a lot of this scripting in there already. I hope you sort the scripting out, and get along with it okay. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.